all. This is Glen Ward. He's going to be, oh, thank you, Linda. He's going to be our presenter tonight. Mr. Ward is an entertainer and humorist. He is also a member of the Columbia Rotary Club, a Paul Harris Fellow, and 18-year, did I get that right? 18-year perfect 40?
That sounds right. Since '02. Since '02.
That's impressive. I have a hard time sometimes making it through the month of May. So we'll hand things over to you, Mr. Ward. Thanks again for being here.
Absolutely. Turn it over to me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, gotcha. Just want to make double sure. I didn't want to over talk on top of you. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really, really appreciate being invited to be with you this evening or this afternoon, based on wherever you are. Linda and I have been talking, and I found out a little bit more about your club, went to your website, the Facebook page, and so forth. Very impressed with what you do and how you go about it. I think it's just neat that you can meet as you do from all over the place and come together as Rotarians and friends and get done what you do, and then still have the opportunity to meet in person. Is it 4 times a year with the different rides that you do? I just think that's wonderful. But I just want to have a good time with you this afternoon. As Amanda just said, I am a professional humorist and inspirational speaker. So wherever I go, whether it's a Rotary event or a chamber event or wherever to speak, I'm just not there to have anything heavy or technical or any PowerPoint presentations or anything like that, but just hopefully a good time with the folks. And these are unusual times we're living in for all of us, for sure. And so maybe just a little chuckle or two, a little good time with each other might be just what we should do. As for me, I know you don't have to ask what region of the country I'm from. When I am traveling and speaking to live audiences and I show up somewhere in the Midwest or Pacific Northwest or wherever, folks just immediately know that I'm from the South. And usually they will come up to me and just simply ask me, what part of the South are you from, Glenn? And I'll say, well, try to guess. And they'll usually not get it right. They'll think I'm from Georgia or North Carolina. They'll get kind of close, but it is the little state of South Carolina, lifelong South Carolinian. And people pick at me a little bit. They'll say things like, well, you certainly talk funny. I think I was in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, Jerry, a while back. No, I'm sorry. It was actually in the state of Minnesota. I was speaking, one of your so-called neighboring states, and the folks there, some of them said I talk funny, but oftentimes folks will tell me that just simply come up and say things like, I could listen to you talk all day, which is another way of saying I talk funny. But I know I get their attention when they come up to me and treat me like a pet, and they ask me to repeat what I've said so that they can have a little fun with me and, you know, get to hear me say it twice or what have you. But that's okay. That's quite okay. I think probably the reality TV shows from the southern part of the United States have really lended themselves to maybe a little bit too much sometime. You know, Honey Boo Boo and Gator People and Swamp People and all of that. We've had way too much fun with that. But one of my favorite shows a few years ago was a show called Swamp Bloggers. And if you remember this show, it came out of North Carolina, our neighboring state here of North Carolina. And this really nice guy owns this logging company, and he has his men go out into these unthinkable places and cut these very large trees down in these very swampy places, as the name implies. And they load these logs on these trucks and bring them out to the lumber yard. Well, in one episode, this guy was driving this truck down this dirt road full of logs, and he hit this rough place, and the truck teetered and almost turned over, but thankfully it did not. Well, he made it back to the lumber yard, and he jumped down out of the cab of the truck wearing his hard hat and his steel-toe boots, and he jumped down and he was telling Bobby, the owner of this logging company, what almost happened. And this guy's Southern accent was so strong, they had to put the text of what he was saying at the bottom of the TV screen as if he were from Germany or Sweden or whatever. You know, he was saying, that there thing right there, it just about turned over, something like that happened like that, everybody around and be killed or something like that happened like that around here. Now, the problem was, or the good part about it, however you want to look at it, I didn't need the text at the bottom of the TV screen. I understood exactly what that guy was saying. Now, I don't know what that says about me, but it just tells you a little bit about where I'm from. So anyhow, we have this sort of thing. Now, I'm not a political guy. I don't beat up people politically or anything. I'm not into that at all. So I'm not going to go there. But I, as a humorist, I find it cute and funny when I hear people talk and the way they express themselves. And folks in the political arena from all sorts of sides of the aisle have these unique ways that they express themselves. And probably one of the greatest was our former, now late Senator Strom Thurmond. If you remember this guy, Jerry, when your daughter was in Williston, South Carolina, there for a short time, Williston is very close to Edgefield, South Carolina, where Strom Thurmond grew up. He was born in 1902. He lived to be 100 years old and served us in the United States Senate until he was 100. We change senators in South Carolina every 50 years, whether we need to or not. And so he was there for a long time, but he was the guy, if you remember, who would say things like, "Can you please speak into the machine? I can't hear you." And what he was talking about, of course, was the microphone, but he kept referring to it as the machine. And then I've noticed there is another Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, not the one from Massachusetts who became president, but we have a senator right now, a sitting United States Senator, John Kennedy. Now, I was cracked up recently over something he did. This guy is brilliant. He's an attorney. You can tell he's very highly educated and schooled in law, sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, but he wants to come across as kind of that Southern, old-timey, small-town country lawyer kind of a guy. But he's not fooling me because I'm a Southerner and I've got him read pretty well, I think. But he was talking about this latest stimulus package, this $3 trillion the United States government sent out, to help us all out during this awful time. And he has a unique way that he operates his mouth. And he kind of does it, I think, rather deliberately. And he was talking and he said, "Now, folks, we've got to understand this is a lot of money. $3 trillion. Do you know what that is? That's 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0." He just kept going on until he covered all of his zeros. And I'm thinking, you don't have me fooled, buddy. I know that you're a brilliant guy and you're just trying to come across in a certain way. Well, then one more. This guy is still living, but he's out of the picture. But maybe we could kind of reintroduce him just for tonight because he did run for president. Senator Phil Gramm from Texas. You remember this guy on TV? His head and neck sort of looked like it sort of stuck out a little bit farther than it really did. And he went all over America with this Texas drawl in this unique way, crafty, saying things like, "I want you to know that if you vote for Phil Gramm for president, you are voting for a man who does not quit. I don't quit anything. I failed 3 grades when I was in school, but I went on to earn a PhD in economics. I failed the 3rd grade, I failed the 5th grade, I failed the 7th grade and the 9th grade. 3 grades. I failed 3 grades." And I'm thinking, Senator Gramm, you're too much. It's just so cute and marvelous just to watch these folks and see how they talk and what they say and how they say it. And I guess as a humorist, that's what I do. I simply have all ears and eyes wide open and my antenna up. And I'm always just absorbing these things and then going out and having fun retelling it. So that's what I do. All right, now, people ask me when I travel, this is one of my big questions I get. "Okay, Glenn, we know what you do now, but when did you start doing this?" Well, I have a background in banking and insurance. That's my business background. But in November of 1992, I left the bank job to do this and travel all over the country doing this. That I'm just grateful to be able to do that. It's just been wonderful, like a dream come true. But it started not when I was in college or working for the bank or what have you, but when I was a little boy, when I was a child. For any of you join us in our meeting tonight who just so happens to be from academia or background in education, a teacher, professor, what have you, may appreciate this. When I was a little boy, not in high school, but in middle school, we had a teacher by the name of Mrs. Dozier. Wonderful lady, but she had a pet peeve. She did not want us kids to go out on the playground and come back into the school before the bell rang for us to do so. Now, the summers are really hot down here. Brian in Winter Haven, Florida can tell you that we just put up with the heat down here and endure it. But we wanted to come inside and get a little lukewarm water out of the Halsey Taylor water fountain. That's all we wanted to do. And she would see us coming. And she had this voice as if you could grate cheese on her voice. It was raspy. And she would say, "Go back down that hole." We would say, "Miss Dozier, may we please just come in and get some water?" "Go back down that hole and go out that door and don't come back in until the bell rings." "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." Well, after the bell rang and we were able to get back into the building and get our water and go back to class, when we changed classes, I would find myself walking down the halls imitating Miss Dozier. "Go back down that hall." And the kids loved it. They knew what I was up to. And then the teachers found out about it. And the teachers began asking me to imitate her and other teachers as I was changing classes, going up and down the halls. So that's where it began. Now, the point I'm getting to is simply this. We have something in our club meeting called Health and Happiness. And after we do the pledge and have our opening prayer and announcements and so forth, some designated person gets up every Monday during our meeting, and that person brings a little health and happiness. And we do that for a reason, so that we can keep connected and find out who's had a baby or a grandchild or what have you, and been in the hospital and all these sorts of things. But we do it also to laugh and to have a light moment within our club meeting. And we do that because it's a good thing. And I'll just leave this with you as a thought before I move along, and it's simply this. I heard this years ago, and I've never forgotten, and I think it's so true. It's a little saying that says this: when happiness comes for a visit, always give it a comfortable place to sit. And I thought about that many times, how in the course of a regular day, and certainly in times we're living in right now, where things are just so out of whack, that we sure, moment by moment, could use these light moments that come our way. So as a humorist, I'm all for it. When I see things, I observe it and I make notes, mental notes, write things down so that I can tell it later, as I mentioned a moment ago. One of the best sources for me that I go to are airports. When I go to airports and look around and I'm tired, I'm catching the flight, I'm at the gate area, I'll just sit there and close my eyes and think up people. And you open your eyes, and within 5 or 10 minutes, it will come walking by, because humanity is absolutely so wonderful. The things we do, the things we say, the way we express ourselves, it's out there. And so we have to make hay out of it. Okay, let me transition now and do something relating to music. My mom is still living, thankfully, and she still plays piano in church. I love my mother. When I was a little boy, she gave me an appreciation for music. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but now I really enjoy different genres of music. And I'm still fascinated, though, because people express themselves oftentimes uniquely and sometimes in a humorous way, not really meaning to do it, in music. When I was a kid, we had what I call music that you could actually understand and appreciate. It went something like this. Make the world go away, get it off my shoulder, say the things you used to say, and make the world go away. And you know, you could kind of understand that and appreciate the lyrics and so forth. Now you hear things like Johnny Mathis. My wife absolutely loves to hear Johnny Mathis sing. I like to hear him sing, but I love to watch him sing because he has these little idiosyncratic things that he does, and it sounds kind of like this. Sounds like this. I'll love you to the 12th of never, and that's a long, long and that pause was deliberate. I put that in there. That was not a break in the Zoom broadcast. That was me. That's Johnny Mathis, and he does that. I don't know why he does it, but he does. Now, just trust me on this. Somewhere during the holidays, and we're already more than halfway through the year, we're post July 4th, so we've got the holidays coming up. They'll be here before you know it. Just trust me. Let's say if your family celebrates Hanukkah, or as mine does, Christmas or what have you, it's the holidays, and you're watching TV, and maybe it's something coming out of New York, or it's coming out of Rome or wherever, and it's lovely, and you're watching the operatic voice folks take center stage, and it's beautiful when you hear the opera man sing, as I call him, or the opera lady, and they're singing their hearts out, and it's just absolutely wonderful, and they're doing their thing, and I never cease to be amazed how the guy can sing with nothing going on his face whatsoever, but the lady is, when she sings, her facial expressions say everything for the two of them put together, and it looks and sounds something like this. The guy first. Anis angelicus fire panis hominum. Then the lady goes, when they do that, I'm thinking to myself, don't do that. Don't do that. Just do the voice and leave the face alone. But I absolutely think that they may teach them that at Juilliard. That's part of the package. You have to do the face to make the voice happen like that. Things I see. Now, several years ago, I was riding down the road, coming back to my home here in Columbia. I was traveling along, and I wanted to hear a little Christmas music. It was that time of the year. I turned the radio on, and Aaron Neville was singing Silent Night, and it sounded like this. Silent night, holy night, please come. I wanted to get out and see if I was dragging a limb under my car. It was like, why am I riding down the road with this vibrato just shaking me to death here? But that's his style. That's just who he is and the way he sings. Now, I'm going to tell on my wife on this. And she usually asks me after I come home from a speaking engagement if I picked at her during my presentation. And I'll have to confess, say, yeah, honey, I picked at you a little bit tonight. Well, she's here in the house. I'm standing, as you can probably tell, in our dining room. She's in the back doing something. But anyhow, out of earshot, let me tell you what she really used to like when the three brothers were alive and well and singing together. She was all into the Bee Gees. And she absolutely loved to hear the Bee Gees singing. One evening we were watching TV, and she said, oh, Glenn, please don't turn the TV. Please leave it there. So I handed her the remote control. The reason I did that is I am a professional remote control changer. I think we men just kind of like doing that. So I gave it to her so she could leave it on whatever she was watching, the Bee Gees. And then I became enthralled because I was watching her watch the Bee Gees. And so anyhow, here's what I saw. Remember the three brothers, and unfortunately, two of them are gone now, but the guy in the middle, Robin, with the very pronounced overbite, was singing, and then his brother Barry kicked in. And Robin was singing, I can dream of younger days when living for my life was everything a man could want to do. I could never see tomorrow. No one said a word about the sorrows. And about that time, Barry said, hey, 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 hey. When he did that, my wife said, ooh, I just love to hear him when he does that. And I'm thinking to myself, why does a grown man have to go, hey, yeah, 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 before he begins singing? What does, hey, yeah, 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 what does it even mean? I don't know. But I'll tell you this, family secret. Since my wife likes that, sometime I'll walk through the house at night and say, hey, Denise. She'll say, what? I'll say, hey, yeah, 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 yeah. And so that's just telling on my wife just a little bit, and we'll go no further with that. But little things that we see. One last one I'll share with you, and that's simply this. Mr. Willie Nelson, usually somewhere during some patriotic event like we've just had or somewhere along the way, you'll see Willie Nelson. He's still out there doing his thing, singing songs that are quite nice most of the time, and sometimes with a lot of feeling and purpose. And I love the songs that he sings that go something like this. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down as I pass this kidney stone. There must be some rhyme and reason to the angst, to the painful way that he brings out his music. Willie Nelson. Well, let me. I'm looking at my clock here. Let me come to my conclusion and segue into just some closing remarks, if I may. And I do want to thank you again very, very much for letting me be a part of your meeting this evening. This is wonderful, and just to know that I'm connecting with folks not just in one spot, but from here and yon. That makes it even more special. No matter where we call home right now, no matter where we call home, I think we'll all say that there's a common denominator, more than just simply Rotary. There are several common denominators now that sort of bring us together and put us all in the same situation where our lives have been really turned upside down since the early part of this year. The pandemic, of course, the tensions that are going on in our nation that's so sad, and of course the strife between people and so forth. It's just really quite sad. But I was thinking about the song that beautiful lady, Anne Murray, from originally from Nova Scotia, the Canadian, sang. The song that says, we sure could use a little good news today. And just one line or two of that song goes something like this. I'd like to hear that nobody robbed a liquor store on the lower part of town. Nobody OD'd on drugs. Nobody burned a single building down. I'd like to hear that nobody fired a shot in anger. Nobody had to die in vain. We sure could use a little good news today. So true. That song was written years ago, but it's so true today. The words are relevant right where we are in our nation and really around the world. So that's where I think we as Rotarians have fit in the past and continue to fit in. We are a blessed bunch, if I can say that, since I'm one as well. I'll just say this. As I've traveled and spoken at PETS conferences and all sorts of clubs and district conference all over the place, Rotarians are just kind of the same everywhere you go. We're blessed, folks. But thankfully, we are blessed to the point that we are able and willing to share our blessings with others. We're a sharing, blessed bunch of good folks, I think, if I can say it that way. We share our love. We share fellowship with each other. And we do things because we love people and humanity, even folks we don't know. I was thinking about our service projects that we do as Rotarians in general, Polio Plus and water projects and sanitation projects. And in my club, the food packaging things that we do here in Columbia, South Carolina on a pretty large scale because we're a rather large club and an old club, and many other projects. But I'm thinking about what you do with the collection of eyeglasses and sunglasses and making sure that these get distributed to people who really need them, and the missions trips to Guatemala and on, the things that you do. how blessed can we be? And thankfully, again, that we're able to take these blessings to a world that is hurting right now. I was thinking, though, as a word of encouragement, that I'd like to leave you with just this little thought. Years ago, a dear lady told me this for a fact. She said that a lady had asked her to hand deliver some flowers to a lady friend who was in need. I think the lady might have been what we call down south a shut-in, lady who couldn't get out on her own. So this older lady asked this young girl at the time to please take this bouquet of flowers down to Miss So-and-so and give them to her. And she did. When she came back to the house, the lady asked her to smell your hands. She said, honey, smell your hands. And she did. She said, what do your hands smell like? She said, well, they smell like flowers. She said, that's right. She said, anytime you do something for someone else, you're blessing that person, but the blessing is going to rub off on you as well. Let me just say this. I've been speaking for Rotary a long time. Before I left my bank job, I was out giving talks for Rotary groups, and what a blessing it's been over the years. And I have tried my best in a simple way to not only be faithful to Rotary and give to Rotary and be a part of the foundation, Paul Harrisville and all that good stuff that we all try to do, but I have tried my very best to do as much as I can and give to Rotary on a sacrificial level, I might say, if I can say that. But I found this out, that no matter what I do for Rotary, I've never been able to outgive Rotary. I feel like I give Rotary in teaspoons, and Rotary gives back to me by the shovelfuls. So I'm thankful to be a Rotarian. I'm thankful even in a time like this, where everything is just sort of upside down right now, that we can be out and about doing all the wonderful things that we blessed people have been able to do. Thank you so much for letting me be with you. I really, really appreciate this time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Glenn? Jerry has a question. He raised his hand, or he's clapping. Maybe he doesn't have a question. So Glenn, what is your typical speaking engagement? I'm assuming you speak more than at just Rotary clubs. Exactly.
I do a lot of work for associations. That's been sort of the lifeblood of my work over the years. You name it. Associations of medical associations, funeral directors, car dealers, a lot of education related events and so forth. Do a lot of work for chambers of commerce during their annual meetings. And since I don't do the PowerPoints and the handouts and the heavy lifting stuff, I leave that to the other presenters. I'm usually an opening conference speaker, plenary session, closing speaker, send them home, hopefully, with a little feel-good message. And I've just been, again, blessed to do that all these many years. I do a lot of work for companies, too, where they have annual appreciation dinners and luncheons and so forth, when we'll get back to those sorts of things, when the pandemic's over.
Have you found that have you done more of the virtual meetings like we're doing right now?
I have. That's been a blessing to be able to do that, because with folks not meeting, people are beginning to meet, of course, here and there, and I'm beginning to get some calls for next year. A guy called me recently and said, hey, I'd like to have you come speak for us in January. He said, hopefully we're going to have our meeting by then. So, people are just still on the edge about things. But again, we've been through tough times before.
We have, for sure.
So I can say
go ahead.
Thank you to you, because, for me, it's hard when I'm on a meeting and on a conference or whatever, and everybody is starting laughing and I don't get the joke, that is my problem most of the time. So this was one time I know exactly what you talked about. Thank you for that, to be very clear, so I can, can laugh with everybody else, and not sitting there like question sign in my face, Thank you for that.
That really means a whole lot. And you're from Texas, right? I see Texas.
Yes, but original, I'm not from Texas for sure.
Right, but you're there now. I was thinking about Phil Graham. When I saw you in the block, I thought, I hope I don't do anything to offend, because that really is something I'm trying to be very careful about as a humorist. You know, humor is meant to please and to uplift and to be a blessing, not to in any way tear someone down or to offend. And so even with my impersonations, I try to keep that middle of the road and non-offensive and just upbeat.
No, for me, it's important that somebody have a clear language in this moment. So, and when I heard so many times, I don't know his family name, but Rick is one of the guys who was so often on some conferences, and he told stories and stories, and he did it with this really serious face, right? And then everybody starts laughing, and I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I felt like a little bit stupid, you know, but I couldn't understand the joke. But it's a language thing. I think when you're longer there and you understand it more, and when you arrived in the language, then you know the jokes also. So that was for me good today, so that I don't have to think about it. I only can laugh when I think I need to laugh. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That, again, that means a lot. Thank you very much.
Quiet group tonight, Glenn. I don't know if everybody's got some, if they're all kind of adrenaline dump after the holiday or what. Let's see, who can we pick on?
I'm going to jump in for a minute. As a Nova Scotian, I thank you for bringing up one of our singers, and Anne Murray has traveled the world and done some good things. So thank you kindly.
You're very welcome, Clark.
She spread her tiny wings and flew away.
Oh, by the way, I could give you Willie Nelson, because he was on the rodeo in Houston a couple of weeks ago, and I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like, this guy is so amazing. 96 years old, I think 96 or 93, I don't remember that. But, you know, it doesn't matter. He make his thing. He was playing 1.5 hours. Incredible, really incredible.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I can give you some of that.
I've really enjoyed impersonating him over the years, and at another time, I'll do my Willie Nelson, Julio Iglesias impersonation for you, if you would like. So we'll do that another time.
Yeah, I know that too, yeah. But this is, wait. Not loud enough.
Well, that's interesting that he doesn't really sound like he's changed all that much, and he's got to be, yeah, he's not young. I'm just trying to think. When I was in Iraq in 2003, I think he released his 75th anniversary or his 75th birthday album. Is that correct?
Wow.
So do that math. Is that right?
That's probably, that's incredible, really. It is. Maybe it's his laid back lifestyle that's done well for him.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it. He's lived such a clean, such a clean life.
Now, speaking of that, I have seen old video, you know, of years and years ago when he first got started. He was dressed in like a Navy suit, all clean shaven, and, you know, he just looked like a regular average, you know, guy. And there he is now. He just kind of become his own person.
That's not him. It cannot be.
When is your next ride?
I was gonna say we're kind of in stasis right now because everything got pushed. We had a couple that were planned for the spring that we had to postpone. We haven't rescheduled yet.
Yeah, I think we've got just a ride with friends up in Michigan, but you kind of limit, you know, who you're riding with, because, you know, we're going overnight and we're trying to social distance and figure out how to do that with friends, and so we're just going for a long weekend and going to try it out.
I forgot to put it in the agenda for the meeting tonight, but Uta brought up an idea last week about doing a virtual, it's kind of a virtual poker run where you have to visit a city with that starts with each letter of the alphabet. So A through Z, you have to visit a city on your motorcycle and post a picture or take a picture. And then
Boyne Highlands, so I got B covered.
and I think we all, most of us know a place with Z. So I think it's going to be quite competitive. Remind me, Uta, in the meeting tonight to bring that up because I forgot to put it in the agenda. So I think that's the next ride that we've got planned.
But it's too hot right now. It's too hot over here, definitely. You know, John
too
can,
hot?
you know, tell some. Yes, we have, I think, 80 something with a humidity from over 75. You know, so it's not good on the motorcycle right now. You know,
We
only
might have to
early in the morning,
right.
but it's not okay. So, but we plan to go to New Mexico actually. So in August, so maybe, you know, over 10 days, we will see how the ride is. So we have an idea for the fellowship as well. So I will see how this works out.
New Mexico was an interesting one. So when I lived in Colorado Springs, I moved out to Colorado Springs. Again, I'd lived there before. And the rugby team that I was playing for said, hey, we are going this weekend to New Mexico to play a tournament to Santa Fe. And I was like, fantastic, because I can't.
Beautiful.
I can't breathe in Colorado. I'm so excited to go down to Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
Newsflash, Santa Fe is 1,000 feet higher than Colorado Springs. So if you're planning to go, Uta, make sure that you drink plenty of water and take it easy.
I know. I just bought me a backpack for drinking for my tank bag, you know, because when you go like this, you need to drink.
Hydration pack.
Yeah.
Hydration pack. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, hydration pack. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uta, so if you have a hydration pack, I recommend that you get 2 bladders.
Yep.
1 for water and 1 for your drink of choice when you're done riding.
Yes.
But don't get
water. When I'm riding, only water.
Oh yeah, when you're riding, only water. But later,
yeah,
when you're at a campfire, you don't have to get up.
A very big flask.
So, Mr. Ward, have you ever ridden a motorcycle? Have you been a rider?
I have not. Please call me Glenn. I have not, but I have friends who are and do. And my thing that I enjoy down here in the South, my son, we like to fish, and we have a little hunting cabin and places we go. That's the sorts of things that we do here. But anyhow, I know that I can only imagine that the bikes that you have are probably the nicest that you could, you know what I'm saying. I'm sure they're just top notch, real pretty bikes and so forth.
We've got quite a range of bikes across this group, from Harleys to BMWs to Jerry rides a Honda Goldwing.
Goldwings, exactly.
Yeah,
Yellow Goldwings.
Scott, I think Scott's got the Triumphs, right, Scott? And Linda's got a Triumph.
I sold the Triumph. I've still got a Beamer and Honda.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You have a BMW as well, right?
Well, that's the R65 behind me.
Yes, exactly.
Glenn, we have so many different kinds of bikes that our club president just does not know which one to get.
I knew it was coming. I don't have a bike. I knew it was coming. And if anybody I'm friends with on Facebook can know that I have even one less bicycle this week because I had one stolen off of my car.
Really?
Yeah, it's all right. It just means that we hiked a lot yesterday, and today I'm kind of regretting it. But so yeah, so we're all over the place. Glenn, I'm like you. I grew up in Michigan on a lake fishing and taking things a lot slower. Although I did have a motorcycle then, so slower usually.
But honestly, you are not far. So if somebody likes motorcycle, why he likes motorcycle? To see the nature, right?
That's
so
true.
Nothing different. Yeah. And they like to stay in cabins. They like it very simple, you know. And so I think because they are closer to everything. I love motorcycle because you would never see so much when you're going with a car.
Right.
You would not meet people who you meet when you're going with the bike. You talk with people you never would talk, you know. It's really something different.
I think my family, maybe all 4 of us need to get bikes, and then nobody will be staring at their cell phone the entire time we're on road trips.
Aha, get focusized. Yes.
Because we just drove from Virginia to Colorado. There was a lot of cell phone time in there, I think. They did pretty good, though. Actually, both of my kids can drive now, so we shared the driving privileges.
We just sold my bike, so I'm the best accessory on the back of Jeff's bike these days.
Nice. Okay, well, maybe you and I can figure this out. We'll both get bikes and.
Yeah, yeah. Or I'm on the sidecar, or I'm on my little Suzuki little moped-y type thing. Technically, it's a motorcycle, but you know.
But they are the three.
Highway.
You know, the thing looks like a car with 3 wheels.
Right.
That would be something for you, Amanda, maybe.
Slingshot. You guys, I can ride. I keep saying this. I can.
I don't say that you cannot ride, but maybe you feel more comfy over that.
I would definitely feel more comfortable on a bike. It's just a matter of, like, I think I've said this. It's like a Harley or tuition. So that's where we are right now.
One's a responsibility, one's a want.
Oh, my son just said one's a responsibility and one's a want. And I'm going to explain to him that the responsibility is the motorcycle.
That's right. And then when he gets a good job, he can buy you a motorcycle, right?
Oh, he's going to be a teacher. Mom.
He can buy you a Vespa.
Yeah, he can buy me a Vespa for sure.
Scooter. Go with the scooter, yes.
I think I've gotten the entire family. I've got them nearly talked into going to Egypt to do that cross Egypt
Scooter
tour.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should come with us, Glenn. You don't even need a motorcycle. We'll all go. One of our speakers 3 or 4 weeks ago was from a group that does cross Egypt tours, and I think was it 1,500 kilometers. It was a significant amount of mileage.
It was for days, yes.
Yeah, but you can either rent a motorcycle or a Vespa. I was like, can you imagine how many miles on a Vespa? So.
And that was a small one. That was the Mofas. We say Mofas. That was not a motorcycle but you know, whatever you do, sometimes it's good to do something out of your comfort zone.
For sure. Which is why I like to do nothing, which is so much out of my comfort zone, because everything is usually going out of the zone.
Everything's out of your comfort zone, right?
My problem is, I think if I just took a trip with, as you were talking about, with someone, I would get so hooked on it that the next thing I'd be doing is trying to figure out how am I going to go buy a motorcycle now and add that into the mix of.
Well, we happen to have a way for you to buy a used motorcycle, because
We do.
us up with a on our website with a used motorcycle marketplace. So there you go. So now you have no excuses. I will find a way to help you, Glenn.
Not only that, but I'm sure you'd have all sorts of advice as to which motorcycle I should buy, right?
Somebody else might.
Too much advice.
No, because that's depend on what you want to do with a bike, and you have to feel comfortable. I don't have to feel comfortable. I have found my place. You have to found it, not me.
Yeah, that's true.
Buy a lot of bikes. So you figure,
Yellow, that's all.
yeah, Jerry just says yellow because Jerry rides a bright yellow bike.
I hear you.
We can paint it like this, no problem.
Although my son's or my kid's very first car was bright yellow, just so that if we ever saw it parked anywhere, we'd know it was them. So
That's brilliant.
anything, you know, it was bright taxi. We used to call it taxi. There goes a Shaller taxi. What they're doing there today.
I don't care about the color. For me, more important is what I have under me, you know, what I can use. Color is not necessarily
The
important.
color is the most important thing, Uta. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know my most important thing.
Wait a minute. The most important thing
It's all about looking good.
the most important thing is the sound the peg makes is dragging around the corner.
Jerry, you.
What is
Oh,
the sound? That's
You do a
true.
little too hard, you fall over, right?
yeah. Jerry doesn't fall over ever. He's never had to replace
No.
the fairing on his motorcycle because he dumped it.
You fell
That's never happened. I was thinking about this night. We were watching American Pickers, and I think they were in Michigan. And the guy that they were talking to had all of these bikes from a gentleman who is a racer, like back in the 50s. And he had so much cool stuff. And he had, honey, do you remember how many horsepower that bike was? It was it was asinine. It had a jet engine, a literal jet engine on the motorcycle, and it's something he was racing in the 60s.
As you're not talking over the Hayabusa with 300 horsepower?
No, this was like a home garage hodgepodge 56.
Custom bike.
Yeah.
Custom
It was the
bike.
kind of bike, yeah, the kind of bike Johnny Cash would build.
Okay, yeah, very classic. You know, for me, important is that it's high enough for me so that I, you know, because you have the long distance, so I need to sit comfortable, and then I want to pass that I don't have to make ooh, 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 and then I can't, you know, because I don't have enough power, so.
I get to work on my new toys tonight.
Aha, okay. What's that?
Communication system for my helmet.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Well,
And Chris has my old ones.
I sure do.
hopefully you'll have better luck connecting yours than Jeff did. He swore at his for a good hour before he finally figured out how to get it all connected to his phone. Now it works great.
Actually, these are supposed to come paired to each other. We'll see.
What company it is, Jerry?
It's Cena.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I think Jeff's problem was he had a helmet already hooked up from a earlier version, and then he bought another version for my helmet, and then he was trying to hook them all up, and somehow
Is it the Cena with the camera now?
Cena, that's an older model actually that has the camera. They got a couple different varieties of stuff. But their apps that they have now are really good about connecting. So the app on your phone, you can do some really neat things with it in terms of connection, communication wise. You don't have to do all the struggles we used to have.
Yeah, we have.
I like that camera unit. That's what I'm running.
But Cena,
Yeah.
it's the best communication system you can have. It's so clear, then you think somebody's sitting next to you, like in a car or whatever. It's really good. High tech on the motorcycle.
Never that good, but whatever. It helps.
Cool. So we need to make a ride. Honestly, guys, we really make something.
We should definitely talk about it tonight. I think your idea of doing the alphabet ride is a good one, and then maybe some of the harder letters, if we can look at some cities that are.
I have something else, by the way.
Well, good. We should talk about it. We got to get some stuff in the calendar so that we can move it repeatedly.
That's
And
why we
hopefully
do it.
we can make another polio ride, because you know this year my polio ride I had to cancel because of the situation right now. So it was in April and nothing was happening in Texas, and right now it's also shut down again. So it's not that I'm scared, because on the motorcycle, what you can get on the motorcycle, but you know the problem is they just canceled the big rally in Galveston. In November, first weekend in November, they just canceled, you know. Normally it's good for 60,000 bikes, you know, so.
And we'll have to figure something out. It's going to be a different looking year, right?
Yeah,
It's
very
very
good.
Semper Gumby, right? Always flexible. That's what we're going to be this year, as we try to figure out some different ways. It's funny that our virtual club is having a hard time figuring out not a hard time, but we haven't figured out a virtual polio ride yet.
Everything over Zoom. Everybody makes it over Zoom. So, but I think it's really different. You know, you can make it like we make a normal meeting, but I think really the social thing is necessary. This is why the people going in a club, they want to do something. They want to do something with people and not only virtual. You know.
Yeah. Coming on that note, can I ask a question, Glenn? Did you do any of the sessions at the virtual Rotary convention this year, Rotary International?
I did not. That would, of course, been a tremendous honor, but I've not done that. But just to, again, touch on something that I mentioned a bit ago, this all started for me on the club level many, many years ago. And then over the years, I've been so privileged to speak for numerous district conferences and PETS conferences, and a presidential membership conference in Baltimore years ago, and zone events and so forth. It's just been wonderful. And it gives me an opportunity to get out and do what I enjoy doing, but at the same time meet fellow Rotarians from not just in my little area. That's why I'm a little bit jealous of your it's set up here, even though most of the time you're meeting virtually. But in my club, we have probably about 200 members. It's a large club in the capital city here of Columbia, South Carolina, all that. But I see, and I love these wonderful folks. They're my dear friends, but I see pretty much the same folks every week. But with your situation, you know, the footprint is much larger. And I know you probably have the same folks you see as well in terms of members, but I just like the coverage of the virtual meetings from that standpoint. But getting back to the sit down, it's great to be able to sit down with people and eat with them, talk with them one-on-one, look at them in the eyes. That's a real blessing too that I really, really miss. We're beginning to meet now. I haven't made my club. I've been making up in other ways, but you know, I've seen pictures of our meetings, folks sitting there wearing masks and so forth, and I just don't know if I'm ready to go back to doing that quite yet.
Sure.
That's a long answer, Scott, but that's
No,
where we are.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's strange times.
And where are you, Scott?
I'm in Alameda, California. We're right across the estuary from Oakland.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Beautiful.
And I was a member of the Oakland Club for a while, but once I got back into full-time work, I just couldn't make the meetings anymore because I'd be working in South San Francisco, not Oakland. So I switched.
It's just wonderful that we have this ability. And as we all know,
yeah.
Rotary is making that push to get the folks to join, to get the membership up, and some of the 20-something, 30-something-year-olds to get involved and so forth. So this very well may be, you know, it will be expanded, I know, kind of a wave of the future, no doubt. And that's good.
I think I would have missed Rotary if I would have dropped it entirely. So that's why it's like, oh, how else can I still plug in? And now I've got it blocked on my work calendar. So this is still during my work day, actually. But I blocked the times, but the space for the meeting.
Right.
Thank you.
Definitely a big push to get younger members involved. And one of the things that we talked about at our virtual pets that we did was about how to re-engage the rebound exchange students like me. You know, those of us who went out when we were teenagers and kind of just disappeared and never really did much with Rotary again. There's many of us. So, yeah, that's one of the things that we are going to talk about with our club, with you know, being an e-club, making it a little bit easier for people who, there's no such thing as a 9-to-5 anymore, to be honest. Most people don't have that luxury. So being able to set aside an hour when you can still potentially be sitting at your desk like Scott is, or like I am a lot of people, is nice.
I think that's the kind of thing you get with that NSA gig, Glenn. I noticed your credentials there. My wife and I went to their academy out here in San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah. Someday. Right now, I still have to hold on the biotech job.
I totally understand. I reached the old proverbial fork in the road with my work.
Yep.
I didn't leave the bank until the time was what I call really right. I was really busy with my little avocation, which became my vocation. Yeah. And so timing is everything, as we know. And so I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Feel free.
It's also about working. You're working to your highest value proposition, which is not necessarily financial. It's what value do you offer to the world at a certain point is not. There's a lot of other people who can probably do that bank job, right? But nobody has your message.
Well, I'm grateful for that encouragement. My father was a minister, and he had a life record of doing wonderful things for a lot of people, and the kind words that came back to him throughout life, but especially towards the end of his life, really made an indelible impression upon me that I want to be that type of person, do everything I can for as many folks as I can, as long as I can, and hopefully one day those good things will be said of me.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be tough. All right, y'all. Thank you very much, Mr. Ward. Glenn, I was calling you Mr. Ward earlier.
Glenn. He told you Glenn.
I know, but there was another Glenn. So.
Please call me Glenn. Please call me Glenn.
Glenn Ingold kept thinking I was talking to him every time I said Glenn.
But do you have an email for us, maybe?
I'm sorry.
It's in the meeting. If you go to the website, Uta,
Okay.
you can see Glenn's bio there and a link to his speaker site where he's
Okay,
got his NSA credentials and so on.
I'll put it in the email later too.
that would be great.
Thank you, Linda.
And thank you for the nice presentation, Glenn.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a board meetings immediately following this. Obviously, anybody who's left who's not on the board, which would be Scott.
I
And,
have to jump. I'm sorry. I've got
And
a
Clark?
5 o'clock to 6 with Asia. So
all right, any of y'all who are around who'd like to join us, you're more than welcome. I'm going to pick on Chris Jones, who's been really quiet tonight, to lead us in the four-way test.
Happy to do that. Are you ready?
ready.
Of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth?
Truth.
Okay.
Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Friendships.
Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Concerned.
And number 5, is it fun?
Will it be
Will it be fun?
Thank you guys very much. Good
Thanks,
night.
all. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, Glenn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.